There are just two major aquariums in Taiwan. There's the recent X Park, which is out in Taoyuan. That one's the hot stuff right now. Can't go there without getting swarmed. But there's also the National Aquarium in Pingdong, the National Museum of Marine Biology and Aquarium, NMMBA. It's a classic tourist destination, has been on my list to visit for years. I managed to do it a few weeks ago and recently compiled a video for you today. The National Museum of Marine Biology and Aquarium is quite far away from most populated areas. The way I got there was to take a scheduled bus from Kaohsiung that goes to the Kunting National Park area. You get off at a stop that looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. Then you wait at a stop for another bus that would cover the 2 to 3 miles to the aquarium area itself. There might be a few entrepreneurial, informal bus drivers willing to give you a lift for a few bucks. I'd take that since the bus comes highly infrequently. You go through these winding roads with nothing around, and then suddenly you are here. There is a massive parking lot and a bustle of people around, not unlike a place like Taipei Zoo. For a place in the middle of nowhere, it's surprisingly well populated. The aquarium is an older building, so it does not have the architectural fanciness of something like the Georgia Aquarium or even the Long Beach Aquarium. But it does have the advantage of being placed right on some beautiful prime beachfront property. There are 3 buildings in the area. The first and oldest holds 2 of the 3 major exhibits. You can walk through that and come out to the back platform facing the Taiwan Strait. On a good day, you can see all the way to the mountains and cliffs. There are a few places to eat, but the food is largely just unhealthy fried stuff at premium prices. I don't want to bash it though, because it helps support the aquarium, and bad junk food is always delicious. The first major exhibit to visit are about the waters of Taiwan. The concept follows Taiwan's rivers from their origination point in the mountains and down to the ocean. The first exhibit shows the trouts and minnows living in Taiwan's mountain creeks high in the skies. They are vibrant and lively. I felt a small pang of disappointment when I found out that the critically endangered Formosan landlocked salmon was not in the tank. It's a beautiful creature. Further down the path, you see a large number of fish that you can commonly find in Taiwan's waterways. Something that I love is that how the Taiwanese always stock their ponds with fish. Large carp, tilapia, bass, or more. One of the best ways to check whether or not a pond has relatively unpolluted water is to see if fish live in it. The next exhibit talks a bit about Taiwan's oyster farming industry. There hangs a lot of beautiful oysters growing tanks with some fish inside. Taiwanese cuisine uses a lot of these oysters. In America, you have these big, fat oysters. They cost a lot, so to have a dish of 3 to 4 is a special treat. In Taiwan, you get a lot of smaller oysters. They still all taste great though. The next exhibit has a touching pond where you touch starfish and urchins. I'm not so sure about the urchins since they got sharp spikes, but I suppose the pain of touching them in a controlled setting will keep kids from doing it in the wild later on in life. Teaching lessons everywhere. Adjacent to the touch tank, there's a beautiful wave tank that shows the fish and wildlife you can find on Taiwan's beaches, where saltwater and freshwater meet. You go through a hallway of jellyfish and the like. You have circled tanks of small fish with the addition of a diver doing some cleaning, and then exotic jellyfish swimming about in a swirly tank. It's all very beautiful. Then, finally the main attraction. A huge Titanic blue water tank with lots of rays, hammerhead sharks, and more. I believe that this is where the aquarium would have kept its whale shark back when it had one a few years back. You have this beautiful area where you can sit and watch the fish swim by for hours upon hours. I know the aquarium offers an option where you can sleep overnight there in rooms like these. I haven't yet had a chance to try it, but it seems super fun. The second large exhibition in the aquarium starts with the coral reefs. This beautiful coral reef tank exhibits some of the fish life that can be found in the coral reefs near Taiwan's coasts. It then opens up to a massive tank. Is it a single tank? I don't know, but it's huge. There is an underwater hallway through which you can see a huge variety of large fish and sharks. This is a seriously large tank. big enough for some divers to swim through and become part of the spectacle. Some of these fish are very large. They have this sort of setup where they try to replicate interesting ecosystems like a sunken ship or the like. Last in this part of the exhibit is the beluga tank, which rotates between two belugas. One beluga performs for the audience, while the other rests in a pool that's closed to the public. The belugas are very popular and draw a huge crowd. It's a great opportunity to educate young people and others about the wonders of whales. I found this exhibit to be very educational. The third major exhibit in the aquarium shows the animals living in the world seas. It's situated away from the main building. You have to do quite a walk to get there, but the pathway is beautiful, and there is an awesome squid sculpture. But you could get blown away by the wind, which is very hard. The exhibit tries to be a lot more than just a few scattered fish tanks. I think this is admirable. They start out with a history of the emergence of life in the oceans. It uses a mix of digital imagery, 3D models, and live animals when available. I really love the jellyfish wall. You get to see, for example, a history of how the whales evolved to become the biggest animals in the ocean, for example. There is also an interesting digital presentation that shows live marine reptiles from the dinosaur era. Not actual dinosaurs, but more like plesiosaurs. It's not bad, but I wish they invested a bit more money into making the animals look more realistic. I suppose the budget was quite restricted. After this section, there is an exhibit displaying ancient, quote, live fossils fish. The type of fish that have been around for millions of years. You got horseshoe crabs and the like. They used to have nautilus, but it seems that in 2017 or so, nautilus were put on the endangered species list and can no longer be exported out of Africa where they are harvested. The last two exhibits in the building are the massive kelp forest, which to me evokes memories of the Monterey Bay Aquarium back home. It's huge. It must be something like 40 feet tall. The fish in there are amazing. You got sharks and crabs and big and little fish all over. Kelp forests are notoriously difficult to keep alive in aquariums, so I admire the good work done here. And I wish that I could say that it's calming to sit down and watch, but there are no seats. It feels more like a lobby room than anything. And there's always a lot of loud kids and people taking pictures in front of it. The penguin and puffin exhibits are much better for relaxing. Watching a group of penguins walk and swim around is very comforting to me, I have to say, and it's worth checking out. I do wonder why they have so many penguins. There is another exhibit early on in the area with harbor seals, and there's like just one seal. I tried to count the penguins in the exhibit, and there's like 50 of them, 3 different species. That's like the most penguins that I've ever seen in any zoo in the US or Europe. The puffins are adorable, though they do not look like the ones that we are familiar with. They have brown heads. All in all, the aquarium is something special. Unlike Japan, which has the most aquariums per capita in the world, and China, which has the biggest aquariums in the world, period, Taiwan's aquarium scene is pretty humble. Other than the NMMBA, you have just X-Park, which is much more scaled down, and then there was just one little mini exhibit in Hualien that I went to, which was kind of cool. Taiwanese today are unable to travel, which has given domestic tourist spots like these a huge boost in traffic and attention. I hope that this trend can continue over time, as Taiwan Island itself has a whole lot to offer for domestic tourists. Alright everyone, hope you can go check it out. See you later.